Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? I know I'm late, or late starting, and also late. This is a late live broadcast, but I'm still getting used to the time differences. Because we were East Coasters before, and for a while, but we were also West Coasters too for a good while. But yeah, I'm just getting used to it. So whilst at this time, quite a few of y'all getting ready to go to bed. This is just our wind down time. But anyway, so glad to have you guys here, and I hope you having hope you had a wonderful day. And here's to the start of what should be a wonderful week too. We're gonna be positive. We're gonna start this thing on right. Anyway, good to see everybody here, and glad that you guys can join us. Let's see. So tonight's topic, and we're just gonna get right to the point here. Is the Hebrew movement what we know as the Hebrew movement? Is this actually a women's movement? Now, before some of you get into your emotions, I'm not saying this in a negative perspective. So I don't have any negativity towards that statement. Like, for me, I will say this. I'll start off like this. I believe that, yes, just like the black church, I think the black church has transformed itself into a woman's movement. So when I hear black church, I hear woman's movement. Likewise, when I hear Hebrew awakening or Hebrew whatever, I see it as a women's movement. Okay. And I repeat, I'm not saying that as a negative and like taking stabs or shots at anybody, but just hear the whole matter out first, before you start jumping into the comments and ready to say something based off of the title alone. But we'll get into that in a moment. But I wanted to share this real quick with you. Just learning more and more things about the many benefits of being in the sun. I was watching this guy today, and he made the claim that he actually lived off of the sun, meaning that he didn't eat anything. He just lived off of sunlight for, I forgot how long. It was a long time, but I looked into it further, and yeah, they caught him in a restaurant somewhere eating. So that didn't pan out. But there are some things in it. Remember, I said with every successful you can't tell a successful lie, effective lie, without some truth. There are some truths to what he was saying. That claims he was making. One thing about when you expose yourself to sunlight is that what it does, it actually kind of resets your body. And, for case in point, if you spend a great deal of time, like for me, I'll spend like an hour. I start off my day an hour sitting in the sun. And what it does is, that melatonin and all that stuff is just kicking off. And when I go inside, all of a sudden I feel kind of sleepy, right? And then, but I'll be okay for a little bit. But then right around like noon, 1 o'clock, I start feeling it like, man, I'm ready to go to sleep, man. I'm ready to go to bed for a little bit. And that's a good thing. And that's something that our bodies should be doing anyway. If you look at some of these different cultures, such as like, Japanese or maybe Korean, certainly down in Mexico, they have set aside times where they allow their employees to go to sleep. Now you contrast that with here in America, as we said in the video before, America Inc. America is one big corporation. Well, they're not thinking about you getting a rest or taking a nap. You there from 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, whatever your slot is, and you're there to work the whole time. We'll allow you to eat a little bit, but that's it. One of the many benefits of sunlight, when you expose yourself to constant sunlight, or as much as you can, is that it regulates your sleep, right? So when I go to bed I reach a certain time at night, it's like my body just says, okay, don't do anything else. You need to go to bed. And it's because that's what my body is now getting realigned, what it should be. 3 o'clock in the morning ain't the time I'm supposed to be going to bed. I need to be going to bed way earlier than that. And when you expose yourself to sunlight like that, what it does, it brings your body back to basically factory reset. Okay. And it does the same thing when it comes to your diet and how you eat. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sure many of you guys would agree to this. If it's really hot, it's very hard for me to eat a whole lot. Like I'll eat a little bit, but I'm like, man, it's too hot. Like my wife, she wanted to go to this. It's a small Korean restaurant we went to the other day, and there's some things I like, in their food. It's not a whole lot. I just have my favorites, but this one didn't really have too much for me, at least. I didn't see, but they did have this soup, and it was like a spicy beef soup, and I was like, okay, I'll get that. And you gotta understand, it's over 100 degrees out here. I'm inside a restaurant eating a piping hot soup. Why would I do that? Well, anyway, but that was what was there. But anyway, oh, sorry, y'all, I'm discombobulated here. But anyway, but when you get hot, when you're in the light, in the sunlight like that, it has a way of telling you and reminding you, okay, you need to go to sleep. But it also has a way of regulating how much you eat. Like you'll lose your appetite. If you've been outside for a long period of time now, you'll get thirsty, but you'll also, if you're inside for a long period of time, you'll start feeling your body starting to go wanting you to take a nap. That's a good thing. But the part I want to emphasize on is how it regulates how much you eat. You just naturally all of a sudden feel like, well, I just don't want to eat as much, And I found that to be quite interesting, because when you go back to when they did the whole lockdowns and stuff like that, what was the first thing they told people? They told people, don't go outside. You got to stay indoors, because somehow if you cough or sneeze, it's going to float in the air. It's going to bounce off some trees and some houses, and it's going to end up in somebody's nose somewhere. That's kind of what they were saying. But think about this. By being indoors for that long period of time, what did it do? It actually kept you away from the sun, which was obvious, but it was, by being indoors, it threw off a lot of stuff, including how you eat. Because you're on your phone, on your computer, you're seeing all these ads about, foods and restaurants and stuff like that. And, they was able to do that. But by being not as exposed to sunlight, what it did was it threw your appetite off. So all of a sudden you find people were eating a little bit more, because again, it's nothing there to regulate it. And that's why it's so important, for us to be exposed to an ample amount of sunlight, because one of the benefits of it is that it keeps your appetite regulated, amongst a lot of other things that we'll really get into, over a course of time. We'll get into the numbers of things it does. So think of sunlight as kind of like your reset. It's a daily reset for your body. And by doing that on a regular basis, you will be really doing a whole lot of good for your body. Sicknesses and diseases that you may be suffering from, I tell you, you will be giving your body a fighting chance by making sure you expose yourself to plenty of sunlight as you possibly can. For me personally, I'm out there with just some shorts on. That's it. All right. I ain't, I just have my whole body, exposed. So I keep emphasizing this because because again, our people really need that. I grew up, used to laugh at the idea of, man, what if some black people were out there tanning? That would be funny, but no, it's not about tanning. It's about exposing your body to the sunlight, to the ultraviolet rays, so that your body can get realigned, to factory so basic to factory settings, so to speak. And so it's something I really want y'all to really take seriously, because I am very convinced that you will see, especially those of you who suffer from things like skin diseases, skin conditions, heart conditions is also evidence of that, improving that, high blood pressure, diabetes, digestive issues. There's a whole list of things. So make sure you're exposing yourself to this sunlight, y'all. And I'll be saying that over and over again as much as I can, because I want to see our people well. And a lot of these things that will make our bodies well, we don't even need to pay for it. We just been convinced by this wicked system that in order for you to get the help you need, you have to go to somebody that's going to charge you literally an arm and a leg and your firstborn, and your right eye. You don't need that. Everything that our body needs to be what it's been created to do it's already provided for us in nature. So make sure you get out there, y'all, and get what you need for your body. Okay. Especially now that we're in this, for us here in the United States, we are, in our summertime. So yeah, you go ahead and do that. But anyway, the other thing too that I wanted to remind people of, for those of you who are interested, I got a few emails from people asking, hey, can you just add me to the group? And I'm not answering that. So if you're on here and I didn't answer you and you email me, I'm not mad at you. Okay. But I just need to help me out. I need you to help, to just follow the instructions that we gave. Okay. And this is the video that I'm going to put it up on the screen again. All right. As soon as I'm looking for it right now. Where is it, man? Oh, was this I think this was a video I actually uploaded. It's right here. Okay. It's right there. All right. I'll bring it up on the screen now. It's right here. Y'all can't see that. You can see that though. Okay, right here. Communication strategy for the next wave. Yes, this is the video that it's 17 minutes. You can even fast forward a little bit in it if you want to. All right. But there's a group that we created where we're basically keeping each other updated on all the latest things that are going on as it pertains to COVID and all of that other stuff, the stuff that we can't talk about on this platform. We can talk about it there. Okay. In this group. All right. And it's nothing like, oh, y'all don't repeat any of this stuff out. I ain't giving y'all it's stuff that's already out there, but on this platform, there's things I can't even discuss unless they ready to snatch the video down because they think I'm playing doctor, and I'm not. But we can talk about these things here and really get into what's really going on and talk about the truth of the matter behind all of this stuff. Fauci, he was just on Capitol Hill today giving his testimony, basically admitting to all the lies he's been telling, things that people like myself and many, many others were trying to say on this platform, but they will snatch the video down and say that, no, you're giving misinformation. Now, I wonder, are they going to flag him now for acknowledging that he was giving out misinformation? I wonder how the media is going to treat that. Or are they just going to kind of just move on over and nothing didn't happen? This man has stood before Congress and is acknowledging that he was giving out misinformation. Everything from the 6 feet rule and all of that. He was giving misinformation. He's acknowledging that. But when we were talking about it, oh, no. See, we weren't just saying don't do it. We were saying, listen, if you look at all these different studies, they are disproving this claim. Don't get all hung up on that, y'all. And then we were bringing out studies. We weren't just telling people don't do things, because we understood the time that we were in, and we understood that anything we said, anything we presented, we have to make sure that it's medically backed. That was the standard that we had to abide by as much as we could, because if we just got out here and just started running our mouths, you can get a whole lot of trouble with that. But even us doing that, they still didn't like that. Now, all of a sudden, these people can come out here and admit, you know what? I was just making everything up. I was just under a lot of pressure. I didn't know what I was talking about. These are the same ones that were telling you. Think about all these grandmothers. How many videos did you recall seeing where grandmothers, their birthday, the grandchildren couldn't go in the house? So people were literally doing drive-bys because they couldn't go in the house because they were saying, I don't want to get grandma sick. Now, all of a sudden, they say, no, we made all that up. You see that? But yeah, we can't, but it is what it is. But anyway, we go into those kind of details, videos. I just gave away another book in there last night. And we're trying to, as things come up, we're updating people. And we're also reminding people. There was someone today from the Dallas Cowboys, 52 years old, on a holiday, dropped dead like that. And he was a very healthy individual. So there are people that are literally dropping left and right. I didn't watch the video, but there's a video that I saw the thumbnail of it, and they said that in this one video, 2,400 people, athletes, 2,400 athletes that they've counted in this one video of athletes that had dropped left and right. And isn't it something how we are literally watching an obliteration of a good part of our society, and people just going on about their business like it's nothing. I told you they have to do this like a slow boiling frog effect. You just put it on very slow boil, and before you know it, you cooked. But you literally every day there are people dropping left and right. Y'all know people in your own family, in your own circles that are dropping left and right. And so, but this is not so many people are looking for the four horsemen. Child, the four horsemen been here, and they still coming. And it's something that we need. It's a people we got to be very aware of and very keen of. In Japan, there was their government is standing up to the people and saying, we apologize because we realize how much blood now we got on our hands for telling y'all to do that. So there was Japan did that. There was another, I want to say Philippines. They did a whole hearing where they acknowledged that there's a connection between the you-know-what and all of these people dropping. They acknowledged that. And I said, gee, I wonder how many black fraternities and sororities and black preachers that was out here telling and encouraging black folks to go out here and get this thing. I'm talking about black doctor organizations. I wonder how many of them will now get up there and acknowledge that, you know what, maybe we made a mistake. I wonder if people like Tavis Smiley or Roland Martin or some of these other people that got up here, Joy, what's her name? Joy, whatever her name is. I wonder are these people are going to use their platform now and acknowledge what was all said on Capitol Hill today with Anthony Fauci. I wonder if they're going to if they're going to even mention any of that at all. I wonder if the NAACP, if they're going to mention anything like that. How about the Congressional Black Caucus? I wonder if Faith Dome, ever increasing faith, where what's his name, out on the West Coast. I wonder because their church, you had churches that were using their whole facilities to move our people in and out to get this thing. And we're using the Bible as justification for it. And now we're living in a time right now where a lot of your cousins, a lot of your relatives aren't here anymore. And yet, because the spirit of dumb has come upon the people, people don't even go back to check up and say, well, wait a minute, let me kind of figure something out here. Now, you told me to do this. We did this. And look at what's happening, Pastor, Bishop, Prophet. sorority, fraternity. What y'all the ones that was out here encouraging. Now what? What do you got to say now? What do you got to say now? Nothing. They ain't saying nothing. You know why? Because these individuals, as much as they may want to say they are representing you, they don't care two dookie sticks for you. They don't. They don't represent you. I told you that what we know as black culture today is quickly becoming trash culture. You do not want me to get started on that. I don't even see black culture anymore. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I know the video tonight, the broadcast tonight, we're talking about something else, but I do want to take because the more I think about this, the angrier I get. You got real people out here that are gone. They're not here anymore. And these people got up here and convinced all these folks out here to go do it. And they used the Bible, justified it. Many people went out, followed it, and now they sick and now they're gone. And instead of them coming back, fessing up and saying, you know what, we ain't do it. We were just doing what Mr. Charlie told us to say. Instead of them coming out and acknowledging that, they moving right along. They want you to focus on Trump and the Trump trial. They want you to focus on that. You better make sure you just vote for Mr. Biden. That's all you need to do. You better vote for Biden and the Democrats. I don't care who you vote for, quite honestly. I'm gonna be honest, because I'm not telling you to vote for anybody. My point is, these Negroes will talk about anything and everything in the world, but they won't go back and fess up. Now we're talking about real people. There were real consequences of people that are dying right now as we speak. Real people in your families that are dying, that are not here anymore. How can you just kind of let that just slide? I don't understand that. I really don't understand that. How can you let something like that slide? And some of our people are so dense, it's like literally. It's like, what in the world? The only way we will engage in it is if we, will be concerned is, but that white cop, oh my goodness, that white cop, he shot up that black child. He was going to be a scholar. We'll get all worked up about that. But when it comes to something like this, we don't even hold our own people accountable. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get how our people can be so passive when it comes to that. I've been outraged. I don't. In a culture that's not outraged about someone literally obliterating you, is not a culture at all. It's definitely not a community. It's already a defeated culture. It's sad. That's a really sad thing. But anyway, enough on that. I was just thinking about that. I was just like, man, this is nuts how people just don't even, it's like folks don't even care. Anyway, but you do what you can. And try to wake people up on this stuff. Anyway, all right, so tonight we're going to get into this right here. This is a post I did yesterday. Is the Hebrew movement Black church a women's movement? And as I said at the top of this broadcast, that I believe it is. But understand that before people launch into their emotions, I'm not saying this in the negative. All right. This isn't some slide I'm taking or anything. No, I'm not doing that. No, the strategy video is right here on YouTube. All right. I just showed you and I'll show you again. It's on YouTube. All right. So one more time. The video is right here. It's called Communication Strategy for the Next Wave. and it's right here on YouTube. It's not on BondTube. It's not anywhere else. And like I said, again, it's 17 minutes, a little over 17 minutes. You don't even have to watch the first few minutes. If you want to fast forward a little bit, go ahead and do it. But it's the main part of it is, you don't want to miss that, because it's a very simple step-by-step on what you need to follow in order for me to add you. All right. It's not me being secretive or anything like that. It's a couple of process steps you got to go through. All right. And so that's it right there. Okay. All right. Let's go in and get into our topic there. And there you go. All right. So anyway, so I posted this yesterday. And yes, I believe it. Like I said at the beginning of this broadcast, I do believe it's the Black church has changed itself into a women's movement. That's what it is. I also believe that what we call today the Hebrew movement is a women's movement. I believe that's what it is at the core. That's what it is. And like I said, I would kindly ask before, if you're watching this, especially if it's recorded, that you'll watch the whole thing before commenting, so that you can get the full context of what's being said here. And we can dialogue, but we can dialogue with some clarity. But anyway, let me read to you very quickly here what I'm talking about here, and then I'll add a few more things, and pretty much that's going to be it. Because I have a few other examples I wanted to share. That's why I wanted to do this on video. I said, although this post will mainly focus on the Hebrew movement, the very same observations can also be applied to trends noticed in the Black church. One of the things I noticed when we were part of the Hebrew movement was the massive overrepresentation of women. It was the very same demographic that I saw in the Black church. The ones who were married oftentimes would talk about the struggles at time of getting their spouse to participate in their religious activities. Did I write that right? Okay, I have to go back. All right. On the other hand, I have also noticed that when it comes to a few men who are perceived to be leaders, I'm talking specific group of men. I'm not saying all men. Okay. I'm just speaking of the ones who are perceived to be the leaders. They will tend to fall within two categories. All right. First one, it would be dominant. Dominant. The men that fall within this category tend to be very open to having multiple wives. They also spend a great deal of time emphasizing how women need to learn how to be submissive to them, and will always bring up comparisons to Jezebel for those who are not submissive according to them. All right. That's the first thing. Someone named Nation Today. Again, I would ask, like I said earlier, you may be just joining in, make sure you watch the whole video before and then at the end, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to take any and all questions. Okay. But make sure you watch the whole thing. All right. So we got the dominant. I described that one. Second one, I would say, are simps. That's the only thing I could come up with. In this context, a simp is basically one who ultimately controlled by the whims of his majority audience. In this case, we're talking women. All right. There are numbers of Hebrew non-camp ministries I have come across where it is the women who ultimately pull the strings on the direction of the ministry. I've even noticed and experienced cases where they will plead with male Hebrew leaders to attack or put in their place other men, all whilst they sit back and watch the fireworks begin. It's these two extremes that oftentimes leave men who don't fit in either category pretty much immobilized. They will participate, but never genuinely feel as if they fit in beyond random biblical text that paints a much different role for men. Taking an honest survey of leading Hebrew YouTube channels outside of the camps who would fall under the dominant category, most leading voices are in fact women. All right. Prayer groups are majority women. Assemblies who broadcast their services will also show a majority female congregation. And then I said, share your thoughts or whatever. All right. So this is just was a point to just to have a discussion, and people went very quiet on that one. I said, oh, something must have happened there. Maybe the keyboards just, maybe that keyboard virus is real. But but anyway, but yeah, people got real quiet on that, because I think that a lot of people do notice this. And as I'm kind of going to add a little bit more to this, let me just say this. It's kind of like this. You may be asking, okay, why are you trying to just categorize something? Well, it's about understanding. That's how you, when you try, it's not, I'm about trying to get clarity and understanding on things. And if you see things all over the place, it's kind of hard to kind of understand it, right? So what you do is you try to sort things out to try to bring, so that you can get a little more clarity. Okay, all right, now this is this, that is that, so forth and so on, right? So for example, let me just give you an example here. Let's say, for example, I'm describing to you, I have a piece of wood. It's about this long. And on the end of it is I got a thick piece of metal on it, thick, and it's heavy. One side is kind of flat. The other side looks like kind of a fort. Now, I don't know. I got two choices, ways I can call this either a hammer or a screwdriver. I've actually been using it as both. Okay. I'm using it as a hammer and a screwdriver. Well, for those of you who are handymen out there, that's kind of silly, right? To even suggest such a thing. How can you use a hammer as a screwdriver? You trying to do you got a Phillips screw, you trying to use a hammer to do, how can you even do that? Is it even possible? I'm sure if you try hard enough, you can. But what makes it most effective? What makes this thing most effective? What makes it most effective is being used as a hammer. What I described to you is a hammer. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what it needs to be used for, period. I can't use it for anything else. You use it as a hammer. That's it. You don't use it as a screwdriver. You don't use it as a drill. You use it as a hammer. All right. So likewise, when you look at, for example, this landscape that I've just described to you, when you look at these different Hebrew ministries that you see all on social media, when you see, hold on for just a second here. We're going to give Nation today, we're going to give him give them a little time out so that they can kind of figure it out, and maybe they'll listen in, and if they want to come in later, maybe they can. I don't know. We'll see. But so anyway, so when you look at this landscape and you see a majority of women, again, I'm not criticizing that. I'm not saying that from a critical perspective. I'm just saying, listen, if you got a good percentage of this group are women, then yes, then by and large, this is a women's movement. That's what this is. So you just need to move in that direction, because when you look at it from, if you're using this movement as a movement, if you think this movement is adequately addressing the needs of men, you are lying to yourself. Let me say that again. If you think that movement, what's called the Hebrew movement, if you think it's adequately addressing the needs of men, it's not. What we see, let's measure for a second. Let's measure the effectiveness of this. What can we honestly say? Can we honestly say that this is a movement that is known for producing a high quality of men, where men are very involved outside of the scriptures now? Because when you think of Hebrew men, what do you typically think of? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? And some of y'all can put it in the chat if you like. Put it in the chat. When you think of Hebrew men, what typically comes to your mind? And be honest, and it's okay. We're just being completely honest here. When you think of a Hebrew man, I'm talking about what you have seen. I'm talking about what you have seen. I'm not talking about some AI version of, well, when I think of a Hebrew man, I think of a man of God that's going to build the nations and all. I ain't talking about all that. I'm talking about what have you seen starting in your own life and starting in the community? What can you honestly say when it comes to how this movement has produced a high quality of men? What can you honestly say about it? What can you honestly say you've seen? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Now, while you're thinking about that, let me just add this. On the flip, there are many avenues that you got prayer groups, you got all kinds of different platforms, where a lot of these women get together, they talk, they're praying one another, they having their meetings, they having all kinds of stuff. There's a little more structure, there's a little more organization there. But I'm gonna tell you what comes to my mind, both before I came into the Hebrew space, while I was in it, and now I'm out of it. Let me just tell you what comes to my mind, just from all three perspectives. All right. What typically comes to my mind are men who tend to be very angry. And again, this is what comes to my mind. Does this include all men that are Hebrew? No, you have some very good-hearted men, brothers out there who happen to be Hebrew. You got some brothers out there who are Hebrew that are good husbands. They add to their community or whatever on their local level or whatever like that. So you have those exceptions. Okay, so we're going to acknowledge that. All right. But the thrust, the loudest ones, that's the ones we're talking about. Well, speaking of loud, another thing that comes to my mind are the guys that I see on the street corners, always yelling and telling people that they're going to go to hell or they're going to be slaves or whatever. These are the things that come to my mind. If you think for one moment that is building up a high quality man, you're fooling yourself. Having the ability to repeat scriptures and argue scriptures over and on top of each other, having the ability to debate one another for hours upon end, that's not manhood. Do you see how religion redefines things like this? Manhood. That's not manhood. Not at all. Neither is it teaching you how to have a family, how to find a spouse and how to love your wife and how to, treat her with dignity and respect and all of that. I'm talking about these basic things. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody wants to dress up like a soldier. Everybody wants to dress up like a transformer, but how can we honestly say that the Hebrew space provides a tangible organization structure on building men in these areas? Can we honestly say that? Well, some of y'all may point to some ministries like IUIC, Pastor Dow, but you know where that comes with. Again, that goes the examples that we do see where some of these things are being addressed. They tend to be on that other side of the scale that I was talking about earlier, more being very dominant. You know what I mean? Making sure that the women understand that they're supposed to be submissive to us and all of that, right? That kind of stuff. That's what we typically see. This is an extreme, but, was it Dimona? That whole church, whatever the heck that is in Israel, which is very funny in itself. I got a funny story on that one, but the whatever it is, the Israel community, the Black Hebrew Israelite community over in Dimona in Israel. Again, the amount of horror stories that comes out of that, of women that are being abused, even young women that are being abused. We mentioned Dow, that whole ministry there, the stories that's coming out of there and still coming out of that. But outside of that, but let's look at it. Let's look at some of the things that they are doing that ain't necessarily bad, such as teaching men how to build homes, teaching men how to build communities, how to farm, how to take care of some of the basic things. That's cool. I ain't got no problem with that. That's cool. But when it becomes where it's like a dominate, like, woman, you're down here and I'm up here. When it's that kind of stuff, then it usually turns very problematic. It becomes a whole different situation. And sadly, the Hebrews I've seen out there, some of them just it's a lot of emotion. Someone just said that. Good point. One of the things of manhood is learning how to control those emotions. You can have emotions, but learning how to keep those things kind of, keep that thing together. But what I see a lot of is, and then some of the men that I see that I'm like, oh man, okay, good. We got a brother out here that's only time they get up and say something is when they sassing the other men. Somebody, y'all ain't doing this, and black men, y'all ain't doing this, and black men ain't doing that. No, black men, it's like always that. It's like, geez. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to hear that all the time. But so you got these extremes that are leading the way when it comes to this, the messaging that's being put out. You know what I mean? But when it gets to the women, when you look at this, a lot of these different ministries, when you honestly look at them, in most of these cases, it's the women that are leading the way. It's the women, be it YouTube, even if you look at some of these assemblies or churches, whatever you want to call it, it's the women that make up the majority. It's the women that are calling the shots. It's the women that are the main ones that are paying in the tithes and offerings. So, I mean, just basic economics, if you're the ones that are in the majority in with the money, you're the ones that are controlling these narratives. And some of these things, it actually does show up in even the messaging that's put out. Have you noticed? I don't know if some of y'all have noticed this or not or whatever, but there's like umpteen amount of videos that I do see coming out where it's like, did you hear what this white woman just said? Did you hear what this white man just said? Oh, these white people over here, they are finally acknowledging who we are. Did you hear what this other white man said? How about that other white man? Did you hear what the white woman said over there? How about the other white man over there? See, men don't do that. We ain't got time to be looking over our shoulder and going back and like, child, did you hear what that white man said? I ain't got time for that. I don't mean I hate white people. I just ain't got time to be monitoring what someone over there is thinking about me. You understand what I'm saying? I don't need their input. I don't. So why do we spend so much time? But typically you don't see men doing that kind of stuff. A real man, most of the time, you're looking forward. You're getting together. Okay, here, we got some blueprints here. Let's lay this out here. We got some blueprints out here. And this is how we're going to build this thing up. This is how we're going to put this together. We're going to do this here. All right. We got some homeless people over here. We got some people that are hungry over here. We got some people that are starving over here. Listen, if you want to talk about the other man all day, that's you. That's you. But what I'm saying is, getting back to my central point, when we talk about, is this a woman's movement? That's what women do. Men don't do that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Men typically don't do that. I'm not saying one is better than the other. So don't misinterpret in anything I'm saying. What I'm saying is that what has been happening is that we have been using a hammer and defining it as an all-purpose tool. So if it's going to be, this is a woman's movement or whatever, then let it be that. Do you understand what I'm saying? But that's the same thing we could say about the church. the black church. We could say all day that the black church is for the black family and all this other stuff, but you got majority of women that are in there. So who's getting most of the help? Who's the ones that are main financiers of it? It's the women. So it's tailored for their needs. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if it's tailored for their needs, okay, cool. But let's not try to use this, a women's ministry or women's movement, to try to build up a man. You can't do that. Let me say that again. You cannot use a woman's movement to build up men. And that's what's happening. This is why it's always circular. This is why you got all this gossip stuff going on all the time. Just forever. It's just more and more gossip. I'm going to expose this person. I'm going to expose that person. Men that are focused on building, real men, they're not thinking about that. You understand? They ain't thinking about all this other stuff. We are focused on moving forward, because it's not a movement if you're always looking behind you and talking about what these other people are doing and saying. You're not moving anywhere. You're just turning your neck. You're not going anywhere if that's all you doing. If that's all you got, you're not going anywhere. You're not. You can call it an awakening. You can call it all you want. But if most of what you are concerned about is what other people are saying, or, some of this other stuff, you're not moving anywhere. You understand what I'm saying? So all of this being said, what I am saying here is that it needs to be, and this is not just how to fix the Hebrew movement, because I ain't trying to fix that. Okay. I ain't in it. All right. I ain't trying to fix the black church, because I'm not in it at all. What I am saying is this: as individuals who are watching this and listening to this, the mistake that as a people we have been making is that we have been looking at the hammer, or looking at the Afro pick, to try to start a car. You can't do that. This is not a key. You understand what I'm saying? You're looking at a movement. On the cover, you may say, oh man, you got all this going on. We're about the family. We're about this or that or whatever. But once you get past the first page, all you see is nothing but sisters. All you see is nothing but women. Now, as far as that part is concerned, you got to be honest with that as well. A lot of these women who are leading these things, they themselves got issues, because I would ask the same thing for the women that are in these groups. Can you honestly say that you are producing high quality women in your prayer groups and your ministries and stuff like that? Are you honestly doing that? Because some of the leading ones that I see, they got some serious issues that are just, you could tell it just coming out. There's some things that are going on back there that they really need some help on. And like someone said years ago to us, they said, hurt people hurt people. In other words, if you are someone that's wounded, your wound doesn't get healed by ministering to other people. No, you just spreading that wound to other people. You understand what I'm saying? You're just spreading that to other people. And you need to get healed. And what you see oftentimes is a lot of these women have transferred from the church and came right into the Hebrew movement with the same baggage, with the same hurt, with the same woundings. All they did was, went from the church and just put a head wrap on. Now I'm a Hebrew, and now I'm going to minister to you, but you still wounded. You understand what I'm saying? So can you honestly say that, is it producing high quality women who are healed? I mean, you're really healed. You know what I'm saying? Where, and it's also reflected in if you're married, it's reflected in your marriage. Is this a space, women, Hebrew women, is this a space where you can also easily bond with other women, beyond the Bible? The only time you bonding together with other women is when you're having a Bible study. Can you go beyond that? Is your bonding centered on pain and hurt and disappointment? Is that the centerpiece of your bonding? Because in the church, what I saw, it was either pain, hurt, suffering, or the scriptures. As far as joy and happiness and all that kind of stuff, it would come and go. So these are things. There are little things here that I'm bringing up here, and I'm hoping I am provoking people to really think about this stuff, because these are mistakes that, as a people, we make over and over again. We look to movements and we proclaim that these movements are this all in one toolbox that's addressing everything. But when you are truly honest about it, it really isn't. It's leaning to one side and it's addressing some needs of that particular group. But these other groups here, it's not addressing anything. It really isn't. You know, I deal with, some of the men I've come across, even in the area of communicating, how to communicate effectively. I've come across some people and I'm like, I'm really trying to follow you, man. I just don't understand. These are things that another man or, someone can teach them. You know what I mean? And, you're just showing them. There's gaping holes that I've come across, some of the brothers I've come across that, that were missed, in their upbringing or childhood. That's not dissing them or anything like that. It is what it is. But if you're going to call this a nation or an awakening, then point to me the things where those things are being addressed. Because if they're not being addressed, that is problematic. And religion will tell you, oh, honey, don't worry about it, because when he gathers us, it's all going to be fixed. No, that ain't going. If you ain't addressing it now, it ain't something that's just going to automatically fix itself in the by and by. You understand what I'm saying? So I just wanted to throw a few of these things out here to get some of you to really honestly and truly start thinking about these things. When it comes to, let me check how long have I been on here, because I don't want to be on it too long. To honestly and truly think about these things. There are people I can identify right now that, are leaders, but they got women over them, like this thing I posted today, when people say, in the church world or whatever, they talk about, I used to see this a lot in the church. I used to see this a whole lot in the church. And they saying, I said, how it looks when you claim that you are under the covering of your pastor, your bishop, your apostle, your prophet, or your moray. That's exactly how that looks. Don't that look nasty? I need to be under his covering. Look at that. In some cases, it's a woman prophetess or an apostle or whatever, and she's over the husband and the wife. What? Why? How about this one here? You got the woman, pastor or bishop or whatever, and she's over, I'm the covering of these young men in here. And our people look at this stuff like it's normal. That is not normal. It's not. And this is what breeds all kinds of different perversions and stuff like that too. But we have to be honest in our assessments here, again, when we're talking about this. So again, to recap, again, I was sitting just the other day, all this kind of hit me when I was thinking about, the black church, do I really see that as something, an organization or whatever you want to call it? Do I really see that as something that's addressing all the needs of the family? Or is it really just based on the demographic that's there? It's majority women. Is it pretty much addressing the needs of women? And so I really was trying to be honest with that. And I said, yeah, it looks like it's pretty much addressing. So is it a women's organization? I say, yeah, you can kind of say that. You can kind of say that if you're honest. You know what I'm saying? And, and then that moved over to thinking about the Hebrew thing. And I said, man, everywhere I look, I see nothing but I see the women majority of the time. And then, like I said, even if you do see men, a lot of times their strings are being pulled behind the scenes by women in most of the cases. You know, is this a movement that is made up of a majority of women? Yes. Again, don't be fooled by what you see, like the IUIC and all the men marching, or, just spend a Saturday. Saturday is the Sabbath day. And so a lot of people, they'll broadcast their services or whatever. Take a good look. You notice why some of them, they zoom in on that pulpit because they don't want you to see everybody else in there, because it'd be like a handful of people in there. And the majority of people are women. And again, that's not, please, I have to keep emphasizing this over and over again. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying acknowledge what you are so that you can recalibrate and that these other needs can be addressed, whatever you want to call yourself. I don't care. But to assume that all of these things are being addressed, they're not. They're absolutely not. Our black men, there is a huge deficit. Just because you see a bunch of men marching down the street and they all got uniforms on, they're wearing their purple and they're marching together. That in of itself, you can train a bunch of dogs to do that. That's nothing. But to stay in and to say, okay, we're going to stop marching and we're going to invest our time and our resources, and we're going to turn this community that we're marching through, and we're going to turn this community around. We're going to keep this crime all the way down in this community. We're going to work hand in hand with, the police department or whoever we got to work with. We're going to keep crime down. We're going to make sure that these stores are protected and all that. That takes work. That takes work. It takes a lot of it. And have done my part in putting in that work over the years. So I'm not just speaking this out of just running my mouth. I'm telling you stuff I have done. It takes a lot of work. And in most cases, I would say in all cases, pretty much you coming out of your own pocket. So the level of commitment it takes to try to keep things together, to keep your own people together, it takes a lot of commitment for that. It takes a lot of commitment to work with your own people. It takes no commitment to do a YouTube channel. This ain't nothing. If you think this YouTube channel is me, if you think that's it, that this is the sum total of me, you nuts. That woman that I got in the other room right here, first of all, we wouldn't even be married, because she definitely ain't me checking somebody out that just got, oh, what do you do? Well, I got a YouTube channel. You think that would have turned her head? Please. I had to come with a lot more than that. I had to have a whole resume of stuff that I was already doing in my personal life. You understand what I'm saying? Not just having a job, but have a resume of things that I was already doing. I was talking, but I also had to be producing. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of these men that I see out here that got these channels, young men, that you spend hours on YouTube preaching, going over the same scriptures over and over again. But I'm being honest with you, but you don't have anybody in your life that's sitting down and telling you how to do life. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know how to do scriptures, but you don't know how to do life. Women can only teach you but so much. Women are invaluable. Let me be very clear, okay? They are invaluable. We can't do this thing without them, okay? Let's be very clear. But there are things that you are not going to learn unless you have another real man in your life, period. And a lot of these young men I see getting on, YouTube, social media, whatever, they are putting all that anger and stuff you can see is baked into the scriptures that they're out here preaching. What you talking about? See, it says here in the law, statutes, and commandments, we're supposed to do this and that. And they are heavy on that, but they don't have that balance. Okay, bro, you screaming at these people a whole lot. What are you actually doing to help them? Are you offering anything to help them? I mean, in a tangible way? What level of compassion are you really showing for these people? Besides yelling at them all the time. Besides condemning them for being black men. We get enough of that out in the world. Why do we, some of the stuff I hear in that space is always this black man ain't doing this, a black man ain't doing it. It's like, okay, we get that. We understand that some of the things that ain't happening. But what can we tangibly do to build up these men beyond just trading scriptures and trading shots? See, a lot of these people don't want to talk about that. They don't want to put in the work to do that. It's hard work. That's why a lot of people don't want to get into that, because they know how hard it is, especially working with your own people. It's hard working with black people. Y'all know, it's hard working with black people. It's extremely difficult. It really is. There are some very good black folks out there that are trying their best and are really doing their best, and they are making a difference. But there's a lot more out there that just, they will stab you in the back. That's probably the hardest thing, is when you help people, certain ones out, and they'll turn around and literally stab you right in the back. I tell you, it's really bad. And it can be very disheartening. And so what we do is we take these frustrations out on each other. That's why a lot of times you'll see me, I'll do videos and there'll be days where I just won't do anything because I need to take a break. Oh, sorry. Because I need to take a break. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to some of this stuff. And you have to step back. So anyway, I really hope that there's something in this video that will cause some of you to really think and be serious about how you're processing some of this stuff out here. Whether if you're in the black church, whether you're in the Hebrew space, again, there'll be some people that'll watch this and say, well, no, there's a lot of men out here. Yes, they are. But what are these men doing that goes beyond just trading scriptures? It's not a movement if you're not actually moving. Trading scriptures ain't really doing anything. It really isn't. You know what I'm saying? So if this is something that, so what my suggestion is, this is what it is. It's pretty much a women's movement. So be it. You know what I'm saying? But there needs to be for individuals. Because like I said, again, I'm not trying to save the awakening. I'm not trying to repair the awakening or whatever. I don't even think there was an awakening, quite honestly. I'm just being honest. I ain't trying to do any of that. I'm just speaking. It's just you and me. We're talking right now. I'm saying for you, don't look to these movements and believe that these movements are addressing all of these other issues that are important, because they're not. So we have to be honest, take an honest assessment, see it for what it is, and then we got to sit back and say, okay, what do I need to do to effectively address these other things? Because some of y'all, you have teenage boys in your house and they ain't studying any of this stuff. They ain't thinking about all this stuff. They ain't want, what? Oh, that's mom in there. She in her Hebrew stuff, whatever. They ain't thinking about that. Some of y'all know that. Some of y'all got husbands that saying the same thing. But then you get on look in the comment section sometimes. All praises to the Most High. You see all that. You think, oh, it's excitement up in here. But literally one half of you ain't even engaged. That's problematic. And it's something that we have to really begin to take seriously. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's all I have for you. Like I said, this wasn't going to be prolonged at all. Again, for people who want to jump in the comments, I really hope you took the time to listen to all of this. If you did, congratulations. And RJ, you said you're 22? Why? I think this person was way older than that. You're 22? Oh, okay. You're a young person. Okay, good for you. I'm glad you're here. I see their name come up all the time, but yeah. So, but again, thank y'all so much for joining us. I'm just looking through these comments real quick and seeing if I miss anybody or if anybody had a question or anything like that. Because yeah, if you have a question, I'm not going to do a call in Unless people want, if you want to call in, you can put it in the chat. I'll stick around for a minute or two, a few minutes. You ain't holding me up. I know it's late at night, so y'all probably ain't gonna call in, which is fine. You know, oh yeah, you 22. Okay, good. Yeah. So anyway, if you have any questions for me, you go. Feel free to put it in the in the chat, or you can put it in the comments, and I'll do my best. Stay on topic, keep it respectful, and as long as you do that, you know, we're good to go. All right. But yeah, if you're interested in joining that group, we got one for you. We also have a men's group. We actually have a men's group on Threema as well. So if you're interested in joining that, you know, you can join that too. That's just a place where, you know, we just kind of hang out and talk about some of the news of the day, but also we're also on there helping each other out. You know, we pray for one another, you know, like anybody else, we go through stuff, and it's just something that we get together, you know, as brothers, we get together, young and old, we get together, and we just kind of, talk or whatever. Ain't nobody out preaching one another. Ain't nobody doing all that. So we talk about kind of real things. You know, sometimes people need help with their cars and stuff like that. It's all kinds of stuff we do. So, let's see. Brother said here, would you say, oh, sorry, I'll put it on the screen here. Hold on for just, said, what would you say is the future of the Hebrew movement? I would say it's probably the same future as what we would call the black community. I would say, I'll say what we know today as the black community is not going to look like what it looks like in the next under the next 30-35 years. This is just me guessing. Because the amount of change that's happening right now, the deterioration, you know, of how we see ourselves, how we value ourselves, that kind of thing. And this is why I emphasize the importance of building your own personal networks of people that you love and you trust, and building off of that, people that where you have shared values, and building off of that. That's just the black community at large. As what we know today is a Hebrew movement. It's I won't say it's a movement. I would say more so it's a moment. It's just a moment in time, and it's not built for any kind of longevity at all. It really isn't. You know, something that's really built for longevity, you're going to have real infrastructure such as, you know, your own economy. You know, you're going to have things set up such as like, you're thinking ahead, such as, let's say, when the dollar does finally crash, how are you going to network with one another? How are you going to, where are you going to get your food? Where are you going to get certain things? Well, what you'll see in movements like the Hebrew movement is, well, we bought a whole bunch of land up here, and what you got to do you got to flee Babylon, and you got to move up, sell all your belongings, and you got to move here in this land that we purchased, or you got to flee America altogether and go to this foreign land, wherever that may be, Africa or whatever, and we just need to flee. No plan at all, but we just need to flee. That's not longevity thinking. You know what I'm saying? And so longevity thinking is, okay, let's figure out when the dollar does crash, if there's a power outage, if there's some kind of thing, who are the people that we can actually trust, that we have built a relationship with over a long period of time, that we can do our own bartering and trading, for example. That's just the basics, right? But really building relationships that go beyond being biblically centered. You understand what I'm saying? The worst thing I would say anybody can do is to center a relationship on any religion, because what happens over time is that there will become differences, and those differences will become so stark that it will turn very sour. And trust me, I have seen this happen over and over and over again. Relationships that I'm like, man, why did it end up that way? And then if religion wasn't a part of it, this thing would have still lasted. So I see the Hebrew movement pretty much, it's not built for longevity. It's something that over time it's going to turn the page and it'll be something else. but it's not something definitely built for any kind of longevity. It isn't. It just isn't. Especially when you're always, the focus is when he comes back, when he comes back. Well, but you also need to be focused on now. How can we build solid relationships now that aren't fear based? You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I see that. So great question, by the way. Thank you for asking that. RJ said, question, brother. Wow. Okay. Let me take that off and then I'll put RJ's question up here too. Let me see here. He says, question, brother. While being in the Hebrew space, did you learn anything historically? I learned, well, let me say this. What did I learn historically? I learned a lot of things that claim to be historic. But because I didn't, thankfully, because I was an individual that continued to pursue, even I kept digging in. In other words, I wasn't satisfied. I was satisfied for a little bit, but there were certain things that I was like, there's a little more to this. Because I kept digging a little bit more, I started learning the truth. So I would say there wasn't necessarily things I learned that was historic. I did learn the importance of researching. I was reminded of that because in the Hebrew space, I did come across a lot of people who really emphasized that. And I liked that. That was one of the things that really attracted me to it. But once I really started, but what I learned is that the research only went to a certain point. Then it became nothing but confirmation bias. You understand what I hope you get what I'm saying? It hit a certain point where it was just confirmation bias. And it was like, wait a minute. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. There's other things in this that we're missing. Oh, brother, you don't want to go too far. You don't want to go too far. You stay right in here and that's it. It just all stayed in the land of confirmation bias. I couldn't, and so that's where it was, like I liked looking at those old books, and reading books and things like that. But I'm not into just reading one little excerpt and then making a whole world around that. I'm in reading the whole thing and getting the full context. That's kind of what I am. And so that's where the conflict began to happen for me when it came to the history thing, which is, that's what I got out of it. But did I learn anything historic? I learned a lot of things that claim to be historic, but I also learned to go even further and discover the truth once I started seeing the fuller picture. And so that's what we encourage people on this platform all the time to do. That is, don't stop. The stuff that we put out, this just merely starting points. Our goal is for you to go even further than what we're putting out. And so you can read even more because we can't read everything, but there's more things there's perspectives that you have that I don't. And those perspectives are important too. You may not have a YouTube channel, but it's good to hear from different people and how they see from different things. But our foundation should always be truth. As long as our foundation is truth at the end of the day, where we don't care what side of the needle this thing falls on. We don't care. We just want to make sure, okay, is this true? All right, cool. I'm your best friend all day if that's what you're about. But if you into that confirmation bias stuff, I can't do that. Nope. I can't do it. Let's see here. Oh, let me take RJ's off there. What's the truth? Oh, you ready for a long answer? No, I'm not going to give you a long answer. For me, truth is something that can be, for the most part, it's verified. It's something that's factually based for the most part. For the most part, you there's some things that are there. There's certain things you can see in an individual, for example, like our children. We got two children. When they were before they was born, there were things I was just speaking over them. And when they were inside Nicole, I was just speaking over them. You gonna do this? You gonna be this? You gonna be that? Or whatever. I was just speaking over them. You know what I mean? And some of those things manifested. Other things are still work in progress. But what we try to emphasize on this platform, Shanquella, am I saying? I hope I'm Shanquia. I hope I'm saying your name right, honey. Is that when somebody makes a claim, it has to be something that's factually backed. You understand what I'm saying? And it's worth going the extra miles to make sure you can back that. There are people that make all kinds of claims here about all kinds of things in history. It should be, as a people, as individuals, we should feel the weight of, before I repeat that, before I repost that, let me verify and make sure that what this person is saying it's true before I hit that repost button. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it should be. And so truth, that is something that is truth for me personally, is something that we can for sure verify. There's facts that we can say, okay, boom, this is what they said. These are the facts that back it up. Boom, there you go. You know what I mean? And that's kind of sort of in a nutshell. There's probably more I can add to that, but pretty much that's the gist of it. But I hope you got something out of that. Oh, here's another one. Y'all had some good I guess nighttime is when the people come alive. Maybe I do need to have these late night ones. This individual said, I've been in the Hebrew movement for 24 years. Wow, man. And I would say it's annoying for me for the last several years. Debates. Geez, I stopped commenting on posts because all this. I'm laughing with you, bro. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. Because it's like, I feel it, man. I feel what you're saying. I feel it. Man, let me tell you, it's like I was just on TikTok. I go on TikTok every now and then. And I'm going to tell you what gets so annoying to me. Like, I'm scrolling through, right? And then you get to that one pic. I bet if I pick up my phone now, I'll get to it. And you know how you get to one of them little profiles where it's like someone may be juggling on one, right? You scroll, I ain't looking at that. Someone may be telling a corny joke, you ain't looking at that. And then there'll be a live and it's like 12 squares and everybody talking over one another. And they're like, prove to me that this scripture is true or something. And I'm like, man, what in the world? Is this all the power we got? You know what I mean? It's like, man, I definitely can't listen to this. I can't listen to this at all, man. And I also subscribe to the, I was just like, man, it's hard, but I also subscribe to other people, I'm not subscribed to those groups, but on Twitter, for example, they have like the spaces where people can, have it's kind of like a live, but people, you can hear from different ones. But you got people, I listen to people who are like in the scientific world or in the AI world or whatever. And everybody's like taking their turns and asking questions and stuff like that. But us, oh my gosh, man, it's like, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. But I feel you, man. I feel you, man. So yeah, it's something. But I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for being here. Wynea said, she said, I'm late. Yeah, you are. You go back to the line. I'm just playing. Good to see you, sis. Let me see here. And yeah, this wasn't something that was pre-planned. So yeah, Wynea, I didn't, this wasn't something like I said days ago or something. You know me, I just be dropping in. Oh, someone asked, have I seen Brooklyn Saint Michael or whatever? Yeah, I've watched him. Yeah, I think he's got some pretty good stuff. Um, well, yeah, there was a video that it was a video he did on something. I forgot what it. I can't remember now. It was a while back. I told people. I said, yeah, go. I said, check them out. You know, you should. You know, should check out all these people, and then you draw your own conclusions. You know, but yeah, I ain't nothing to say on that. You know. Anybody else got anything? If you got anything, let me know. I'll be here for another minute or two. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it can be a very exciting time for you if you want it to be, but you have to be honest. It really is. There's a lot of bad things going on in the world, y'all. It really is. There's a ton of bad things that are going on in the world. I mean, a ton of stuff, and y'all know it. But I'm gonna tell you, honestly, I feel like we're living in one of the best. I'm living in the best time of my life. I really do. In spite of everything that's going on right now, I really do. I feel like I'm living in the best time of my life right now, and I'm very, life can be challenging. It comes with its challenges, but I'm very happy to be alive. I really am. I'm married to my best friend. I have 2 wonderful children. We live, in a nice state. I really don't have anything at all to complain about. I really don't. I don't. I actually love life. I do. And I love meeting very nice people. I love learning. Love learning new things. I love asking questions and sharing the little that I know. I love doing all of those things. And but like I said again, when you're dealing with your people, it can become very depressing. It really can, and so I do things on my own. One of the things, like I said again, getting in that sunlight, man, I tell you, it really helps out a great deal. It really does. And and just being in a point in my life right now where I'm finally figuring out, you know what? It was this doggone religion that was doing this stuff. I'm serious. Once you realize, Clayton, what this dog on your back, once you realize what it is, it's like, wait a minute. It was this religion. You know how you see on TikTok, well, back at TikTok again, you'll see people who have serious back problems and they go to the chiropractor and they'll do that one adjustment, something that's been dogging them for years. And the chiropractor, he'll come and do one little twist or whatever. And all of a sudden they're like, you mean that's it? That was it. And that's how I feel. Realizing now, it's like when my wife and I, when we got out of the Hebrew space, I felt like it was like from darkness into light. I mean, I'm being honest with you. And I look back now at those people. Do you want to know why I do videos? Many of these videos where I'm talking about, when we're addressing stuff that's happening in that space. Of course, we could talk about a whole bunch of things. But you want to know why I talk about that? Because honestly, I love those people. I do. No matter how many times they want to send me to hell, no matter how many times they want to try to throw curses and speak curses on us and all that stuff, I still love those people. I can't, there's nothing I can do about it. Now, I don't love all of them. I'm being honest with you. I ain't got no rainbows going through my head like that now. And some folks, I want to wring their neck. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of people, when I look at the people that are still in that group, I see me. I do. I honestly do. I see myself because I was there. And there are people likewise when I look at the church. When I tell people y'all need to get out of, when I'm saying if you're in the church, man, you got to get out of that. But at the same time, I realize that some people that's, it's not, it's more easier said than done, but I still see me in it because we spent a great deal of our time and our lives in these things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not the one that's like, y'all dumb, stupid Hebrew, blah, 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 and I'm on top of Mount whatever, looking down on anybody. Nah, please, man. I know where I came from. You know what I'm saying? I know what I came through. And I hate seeing people stay in this loop where you're just doing the same things over and over again, and it's the same results. Why I wanted to talk about this topic tonight when I was talking about, this whole thing, is the Hebrew movement, is it a women's movement? I personally think it is to a degree, to a large degree it is. And that's not being negative. That's just what it is, because the other side of it, we're not, there's a lot of things, and I went through that earlier. There are certain things that aren't being adequately addressed, and they can't be addressed if it's only women driving it. Same thing if it was an all 100% male group, it would be the same thing. You know what I mean? So, and there's a lot of brokenness that I've seen and I continue to see, within that space that honestly it's not being addressed. And it makes me sad. It makes me very sad when I think about it. Makes me very sad to see that. I was chatting with someone just very recently, something going on in their family, and the family, the way, you have this one member of their family that's like, listen, my eyes are opening now to some of these things. I feel like I can now start asking some questions about stuff. But the family, on the other hand, they ready to throw their own flesh and blood down the gates of hell because they ain't standing on the Bible, kind of thing. You asking too many questions, that kind of stuff. That's hurtful. Can you imagine it? And some of y'all don't have to imagine that. Some of y'all dealing with that right now. You know what I mean? How to love, how to be a friend, how to build relationships. Like the other thing, like I said, was big to me. I was going back and forth with someone in the comment section not too long ago. I think this is a male. And I finally got what he was trying to say, but by that time it was too late. But it was the way he just was not communicating clearly. And so I see that as, that's another thing I come across. It's like, these are little things that they're not being addressed because they were missed in childhood or in their upbringing. And these are things that our brothers need help in. There's one guy that has a ministry. I don't know what you want to call it. It's like a 501c3 or whatever, where he does work with young boys and young black boys, and he teaches them these basic things. And I think a lot of times we put emphasis on the young boys, but there's some men out here that really don't know how to effectively communicate. And so they get hooked up in these religious groups where they feel like the only way you're supposed to communicate is using scriptures and yelling at people. It's and so these are the basic things that I'm saying that there needs to be, those things need to be addressed. And it's more than just having a YouTube channel or social media platform. It's really that making those personal connections like that. So anyway, I think that's it. That's all I have. If you have any other questions for me, me, I'm still hanging around. I told you I'll take one more question, but if anybody's got anything else at all, sisters, we love you very much. All you sisters, I definitely feel you. I really want to see our sisters. I don't care if you claim to be a Hebrew or whatever or not. It don't matter to me. I want to see our sisters where you truly are made whole. You're healed. If there is any wounding, and not all our sisters are hurt, They're not all in pain. There's some sisters out there that are living in the best days of their lives, and they don't, sometimes you feel like when you get into certain spaces, you gotta be like, yeah, child, I got, you all of a sudden you sound like a slave. But then once you leave out of the space, you're like, everything, what makes you switch up where you got to feel like you just this lowly? No, it's religion does that. So if you out here, you assisting, you doing your thing, and you living a good life and things are going good for you, we proud of you. You go, girl. You know what I mean? But we also want to see some, sisters who may not be at that place. We want to see them get the help that they need and get the healing that they need and all of that. And same thing with the brothers too. We want to see that. We want to see, the needs of our men truly being addressed in a way that builds them for longevity. You know what I'm saying? Man, RJ, first of all, are you in Latin America? Because I think you asked me this before. And then this is like the second time you asking me. You said, will you go to Latin America one day? I tell you, you know what? You hitting on something. We definitely are pushing to visit. I'm definitely, by the end of this year, I definitely want to be down there again to visit. Deciding on the country though, Mexico, we'll probably go to Mexico again. I love Mexico City. Oh my goodness. If you've never been to Mexico City, that's a good starting point, I think. But that's just Mexico City. But you got Panama, you got, all the other, Central America. And then you got, my daughter talking about she all of a sudden start pulling up all these Brazil videos and want to go to Brazil. I was like, yeah, I don't mind going down there, and just get on out there and see more of the world. That's what I'm wanting to do, especially that's really where my pull is right now, quite honestly, is Central South America. I'm really wanting to go visit down there. I'll put my my email address here. Let's see, connect. There you go. I just gave you my email address. You can email me there. Someone said Cuba. Maybe. Where are you though? Yeah, Belize. I was thinking. Yeah, Belize. Yeah, I said only been to Nogales, just across the border. Yeah, we were thinking about I wonder how was that? How was that? Because I was pulling that up on YouTube. I was thinking about that. In Mexico is kind of, like I said, Mexico City, that was a good starting point for me. Because you got the touristy area, but then you can go out a little bit further and it's really, and you can get amongst where the people are. And that's where you can get some better prices. Oh, you in Canada. Yeah, I've been to Tijuana too. That was a while back. I have a funny story about that. I'll share that another time. But yeah, I got this leather bag down in Mexico City. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I moved down there just for that. And it was what I paid for. Ain't no in the world I would have paid for it. I wouldn't have been able to afford it here in the States. Oh my goodness. That thing it's in the closet. I would show it to you right now if it was in here. That thing's nice. Man, that thing's nice. Anyway, let's see. Christopher said, how would you respond to someone if you were asked, what do you stand for if you don't believe in the Bible 100%? I just tell them I stand for truth. You know what I mean? I'm just for the truth. That's what I say. If someone were to say, well, do you even believe? I get that all the time. A lot of time people just start off the rip and say, I don't believe the Bible. I believe in truth. If there's truth in the Bible If there's things that are true in there, and then I stand on that. But if it ain't true, I ain't standing on it. It's plain and simple. There are good principles that are in the Bible. Looking out after your neighbor and how you treat your wife, and training up the way you train up your children. Those are good things. You don't throw that stuff out. But do I embrace the whole thing? No. Because there's a lot of stuff in there that's not historically true. It's not. So I just tell people simply, hey, I stand for truth, period. And I think and they'll be like, okay. And then they just leave it alone. And that's about because I say, if you ready for that conversation, you let me know. We can do that another time. Rebecca, what she's talking about, she said, she's talking about Nogales. I think she said very, very poor. She said it was back in the 70s. That's all right. Oh my goodness. Hey, wait, let me see. Let's see. Oh, Rebecca said, she said, I did get a nice leather cowboy boots, $5. Yeah, man, I'm going to tell you though. I'm going to tell you. Yeah, you want to get some nice leather stuff geared. Oh, y'all know I was down there. My wheels are already turning now. If I met somebody down here, you think we can get a Samba Tree leather shop? I'm serious, man. Let me get with the right people, man. Shoot. Don't mess with me, man. I always be looking out for y'all, man. So we'll see what happens. I ain't trying to do that anytime soon, but yeah, I'm really looking to doing some travel down there for real. You're in Canada. The last time I was in Canada, we're just talking right now, but last time we were in Canada, we went to Montreal. I actually really like Montreal a whole lot. I've been to not Vancouver. Toronto. We've been to Toronto. It's all right. But Montreal, I really like. Montreal is like, if you want a taste of Europe without necessarily being in Europe, Montreal is pretty cool like that. I actually like that. And we went, I want to say it was like between November and December. So it was pretty cold up there. And then it started snowing. Yeah, and we were like in Old Town Montreal too. Oh, that was nice. So yeah, if I was to head back East Coast to visit, I would definitely love to go to Montreal. I would love to go back there to visit. Let's see what else we got. I guess that's it. He said, visit Toronto where I live. I just said, I'm like, well, maybe. Because I actually, my sister-in-law's family is up there. And the last time we were up there, we was there for their wedding. So it's been a minute since I've been up there. But yeah, see, I haven't been through the parts of Toronto. You know what I'm saying? It's like this. And see, that wasn't even fair for me to even probably say. It was kind of like, the reason why I was like that. It's like this. You know how if you go to a city and you only visit the so-so part, but somehow you assess the whole city as part of that? That's what I just did. So I acknowledge that. You know what I mean? So, but I know that there's plenty of I'm sure there's a lot of nice places in Toronto. I just haven't seen them all. This, the one time we went up there, it was kind of like, but Montreal, I definitely like Montreal. That was for sure. I like that. We were even contemplating moving up there. That's how much we liked it. But then the COVID nonsense, they start shutting down the border. We were like, well, I guess we ain't going up there. Someone mentioned, I saw the Niagara Falls at a distance when we were driving up there. Well, like I said, I got a ton of funny stories about it. This was before the whole COVID thing, and I'm winding it down, y'all. Our plane landed late at night in Buffalo. I think we lived in Canada at this time. I believe we lived in Canada. I'm sorry, we lived in California at this time. My brother-in-law was getting married. Did we live in Atlanta or did we live in California? I can't remember. Anyway, our plane landed in Buffalo late at night. It was like the last flight of the evening. We landed late at night, and we're like, okay, cool. And we was able to catch our rental car right before they shut down, right? So we got the rental car. We're like, okay, good. We get near the border, and at the border you have to show either your passport or your license. How about I think Nicole, or was it me? I can't remember. The car rental place, they held one of our licenses. So what was crazy was, this is how open the borders was back then. Some of y'all remember this. They would still let you cross. They still let us cross. So we were in Canada without a license. And so I was like, oh, how are we going to get back? So I said, we just going to have to do one of the biggest tap dances we can do. But we got there, and the guy just waved us on. He just told us to keep going across the border. So we were cool. So we was able to cross back into the States. But unfortunately, the car rental place was closed. So we had to get a hotel that night. I went in the other room, came back. There were two people on my children were very small. But I went out of the room, came back in, and all I know is my son or whatever, he had the remote and he's changing the channels. All I know is I saw two people doing naked body massaging, if you know what I mean, on the screen. I about lost my head. I was like, oh no, I couldn't get to the TV fast enough. I said, how are they gonna let this thing in there? Anyway, yeah, that was some trip. But anyway, it was funny. That's it. That's done. I'm good, y'all. Listen, it was great chatting with y'all. Listen, I hope you got something out of this broadcast tonight. And I've got some Canada people in the house. Okay. All right. Canada people. And Canada is I think it's a nice place. I don't know about y'all, what's going on with y'all government, though. It's just bad. It's just as bad down here, too. So, but either way, our hearts with y'all, our Canadian people. Yes, there are black people in Canada. Oh, I got a coat. Oh, what's the name of that? Tag. There's a warehouse in Montreal, and there was another place where I got this super deal. It's a coat manufacturer, winter coat manufacturer. They're in Montreal. And we found their warehouse, and we went in there, man. I paid like, I remember the coat that I bought, I paid $60 for it up there in Canada. That same coat would have been almost $300 in the States. That's how crazy it was. See, I love stuff like that. Anyway, I'm done, y'all. Listen, we could talk about that. We should do a broadcast on where you get all the good deals. What are the good places to get deals from? All right. And maybe we'll do that one day. That'll be fun. All right. You guys take care. Love you guys very much. And always stand on truth above all else. Make sure you stand on truth. Okay. Take care. Love you. Take care and have a great, great evening.